just to start off, guys, congratulations on this film, the global release for The Woman King. Just to take you back, what was your fondest memory on set? To start with anybody. Masali?
My fondest memory on set. Someone got proposed to on set.
Yes!
Yeah.
Oh, it was so sweet.
That was very sweet. Yeah. And all of our dancers, now we from Ode, we had so many little dances together.
Yeah.
We did.
The drums were going.
Yeah, that was nice to showcase the sisterhood.
Yeah.
Guys, my favorite moment was when I got the call that I'm booked. I don't think it got higher than that, man. It didn't get higher than that for me. Just to be able to hear that I'm booked. Even when I auditioned for this, I remember saying, I'll get back into praying if you give me this part.
Exactly. Oh, you connected with God. I told you. You said, let me pray now. I'm praying now.
My best friend still goes, when are we praying?
Just had to,
Yeah. I actually have too many. I made too many memories on the set. I learned a lot. I created beautiful relationships, from Viola to Gina to Masali to Adrian to Sib to this human over here. It was just an entirely beautiful experience. I find it hard to pick one moment in particular.
I think it was a moment between me and the woman that does our costume fittings. Gersha. No, not Gersha. It was the actual the one that does checks. I've forgotten. I think it's Viv. Viv. She's great. She's fantastic. But she got me the costume, the robe for the first time, and it didn't quite work because I was like to her, this is not regal enough. West Africans, you say I'm royal, you say I'm the king. Let it show, and she goes, I've got you. She came back with the blue and gold. And I was like,
it's my favorite one.
Now all the rest of it, let's base it on this. And it was just a moment of connection. I was kind of like, it's only on projects where you're working with black people, especially Africans, where you can have that connection and they know exactly what you're talking about without having to explain. So it's nice.
That's awesome. And this film has a lot of themes, very strong themes based on identity, self-worth, betrayal, and justice, just to name a few. When you got the script, what kind of groundwork did you go into just to get the story and understand it?
So I started my research in October 2020 because again, I just wanted to be ready for the audition. I got the script, I think April 2021, and then it was about understanding the character, the role that is in the script now, right? But building the world with Viola and being in conversation with her, going to try find as much as you can on the internet, which is not a lot. It's like what's there is very repetitive. It's the same type of thing, and you do have, the name Nawi and Nanisca popping up here and there and trying to find more on them, but, doesn't actually lead anywhere. And so knowing that I'm going to have to build her from scratch. I take absolute joy in, Googling different personality types. And so I had to Google Nawi's personality type. And one of my first, Googles was the psychology of an assassin, because she is a girl who ultimately wants to go to join people who kill people. And, and so building her as a person who goes from being unwanted, who wants to prove herself, to realizing that, her family isn't what she was adopted into, but those that she can choose.
I spoke to Gina when I got the role on a Zoom call, and she said that McGann is a fictional character, not real, but it was important to have the character because she has sons, and her sons must know that men need to get involved in fighting fights that are predominantly known as woman fights. But a lot of fights and a lot of things that women go up against are actually done by men. So actually the people who should be leading the fight should be men, So for me, I've always prided myself in trying to be an ally of women or the community, LGBT community. And for me, McGann is just an ally. he starts off by seeing and hating on women, and then as the movie goes on, he's like, wait a minute, they have something. And then there's that decision, do you join or do you not? The same with you in a bar, and your best friend, who's a man, slaps a behind of a woman. You have an option. Go against your best friend and speak up and hold him accountable, or not. And a lot of us men, every single day, go against those things. And you had an interesting one as well as King Gezu. You had that interesting kind of she's gone up against me, but did she make, there's these
Is
things.
it the right choice?
Is it the right choice?
Yeah.
So for me, I think there's a story in it. And for me, Woman King you can watch 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've watched it twice.
Watched it
And the
4 times.
second time, I was like, oh no!
Yeah.
It's an onion!
It's
So there are moments when there's one moment when Megan does something that in Cape Town he got a little clap, and then you can hear that it's just sometimes women just want a man to be able to go, I hear you, I see you, you know what I mean? They don't want all men to be killing every rapist. No, they just want to say a man just to be able to go, I hear you and I believe you, and just a nod, or I hear you. And I think Gina was able to make it so multifaceted and so multi-layered that I'm watching it a third time tonight. I'm
so
IMAX.
excited.
I can't wait to see the layers again. So that's, for me, it was that. It's the daily ongoings of trying to be an ally, not perfect, but allies aren't the loudest. They're beside supporting.
Yeah.
And that's what Megan for me is. And, you know, I worked with Gina on that.
You know, it was quite interesting for me. I think that this movie is also very necessary because when I started my research, I couldn't find any books on Dahomey in South Africa.
Oh, yeah.
And that I had to order from Amazon. I had to get them from America. And that's
You got it from Jeff.
So that's just, you know, and most of the books are written by white men as well. So it's just like, this movie is so important because we need to tell our own stories. You know, it's very important because they're, you know, they are, like John said, like they're things that we will understand as Africans that, you know, maybe the Westerners won't. So it's just to add that there. But also my character, she's not a soldier, she's not a fighter. She kills because if she doesn't kill, she's going to get killed.
Yeah.
So for me, it was researching that mentality of like, kill or get killed, you know. That's not a way that I think in my everyday life. So getting into that headspace was interesting, a little bit fun, but it was.
John.
No, I think Sid pretty much bottled that all in one. It was just a good process for me. Yeah.
Awesome, that's great.
I want to give you time for other stuff, man.
Considering that you guys are citizens of the world, at different parts of the world in a way, what was the process of accent development? But also, can you also detail how your accent coaching sessions actually went?
What's up?
So,
Great, Chris. My biggest fear. My biggest fear.
Yeah.
And that tomorrow when it comes out, I know how South Africans are.
Yeah.
I know they will not for a moment listen to throw fire at Viola's accent, but I know me, Masali, Thuso, it just takes one light and it's just gonna and I must be honest, I'm very nervous about that, and I'm not usually nervous about things. But for me, as I was putting the accent together, first of all, I had someone in my ear going, you can't go too deep, you can't go too deep. We need everyone else to understand you.
Yeah.
And then there's a side of me going, nah, bro, I'm black and I'm African. It means more to me to hear my Africans go yes than Americans going yes. So it was an interesting little debate going on in my brain. But what gave me hope was John, at one point, the guy coming to give John a note, and he was like,
Go.
go. Because he's like, I'm Nigerian. And for me, he gave me power to... I would get a note and I'd be like, that guy, note, same, that guy. But I'm still scared for tomorrow. I must be honest. I don't know what you got. There's still a part of me that fears.
I know they're gonna have that fear, but for me, I think that the diaspora is much more of an important message.
Yeah.
As we know in this tribe, there's people that are collected from many different tribes.
Exactly.
And Megan being a fictional character, I always assumed with the way it pulls the character together that there are people from all over Africa that come together for this one cause, which is reflective of what we're dealing with in life. I think it's way more important for us to hear the diversity in accents than to try and single in on one thing. I think that it does something to the message of the movie. It gives us a message of unity, which can not only for black people, but then can transcend into other races and cultures. So I personally love it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me that was the launch pad for the conversation with our dialect coach, Joel Gold. The fact that coming originally, like being, you know, Zulu, KZN Zulu, growing up in Zululand, then moving to Pietermaritzburg at some point, understanding of Wuti, rural Zulu is different to city Zulu. So even coming into this world, my character cannot sound like Nanisca. You know, there is a roughness to it. They're more polished. They're in the palace. He's exposed to the Portuguese. He's going to sound different to how I sound. And that's something that we embraced in the journey. We tried to play with it until we were told, Americans are not going to understand it, so you need to water it down. And we kept being told to water it down.
They should open their ears. Open your ears.
That was the biggest thing, to the point where they're like, okay, just like do a generic accent, you know, which was a little sad because I was excited to play with the idea of an accent, a West African accent, but that's going to sound different to the next person that I'm working with because of how it is in real life. We're not going to sound the same.
Right now.
There are different versions of Zulu. When you speak English, you know, I can tell when a Xhosa person speaks English. I can tell if it's a Zulu person or a Sotho person. It's details that I was excited to explore, but didn't have the opportunity to.
Yeah, we stayed as true to, you know, to the accents as much as we were allowed to, you know, some of the actors. So yeah, I think if people can just have that, you know, going into the movie, that, you know, we were battling forces, you know what I mean? But I think everyone did a great job. I think everyone did such a good job.
Dahomey.
People love Dahomey. The woman key.
They were allowed me to breathe. Look, our West Africans, I had to represent. You know, I had to represent. But it brings everybody together, which is fantastic. Yeah.
And you know, the film was filmed in South Africa.
Yes.
Which is also continental Africa in general.
Yes.
So what not elements, but then how did the set itself help you get yourself as an actor into the world of Dahomey 1820s?
I think when you see it, have you seen the movie? It's literally like you walk into that world. You know, the production design. They said they try to match it to what it was back in the 1800s. You know, costumes were there, true to what it is that what was happening, with small tweaks here and there. But it's one of those things where, and I get this. You know, okay, no, you can't speak to it. But like, you know, in interviews, your Violas, your Lashanas will speak about, you know, stepping onto set, being in the motherland, and talking about, you know, this energy that comes with it. But that's who we are. You know, maybe we missed it because we grew up on it. Maybe it's something that we take for granted. It was just, you know, being able to share it with each other, with other people, to share it with the world at this point is an amazing experience. Sif?
I think there's something special about shooting in South Africa that, for me, if I go get coffee from the lady at catering and she's my mother's age, it's irrelevant that she's just making the coffee. It's, she's a sissy, she's a mama. There's a respect that, for me, I hold all my cast members towards, and if you mistreat one of the cast, one of the crew, for me, something drops in your personal thing. So for me, there's something about Africa that I love. If you're making my tea, if you're fixing my shoelace, if you're doing action or you are the DOP, I don't care what position you're from. If you're mopping the floor or you whatever you are. So for me, that's something about Africa that I haven't seen when I'm overseas as much. There's a respect here that is just beautiful, and you can actually just feel it. And for me, I still have my flip-flops full of the same red dust.
Red dust, yeah.
This red dust
Red dust.
gets into every crevice
Everything.
in your ear.
Every day after set.
But I just want to take a moment for makeup.
Yeah.
Babalo's my cousin.
My goodness.
My cousin is the makeup artist.
HOD, yeah.
Yeah, HOD for makeup. The wardrobe. Every time you put it on,
Yeah.
you just like,
It changes you.
I just felt darker as well. And more rhythm.
More rhythm.
So there's just something special that, man, but these people as well, man, they kept you in it.
And it translated onto the screen.
They did. But one people don't realize is that
Yeah.
we shot in peak COVID.
Yeah.
I did 98 COVID tests in total.
Yeah.
In up the nose. So for me, it doesn't read on screen that we were actually, after every take, mask.
Yeah.
Separate
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Like complete
Mask.
bubble. Complete
We're
bubble.
in bubbles. We couldn't have parties.
Nothing.
We were just separated. But on
Yeah.
camera, it doesn't read like we were separated. It reads like we were actually just chilling together. But having so many COVID tests, I was telling someone the other day, having so many COVID tests made me a better lover. You know why? Because I learned that deeper and harder isn't always best.
Print that. Print that. Industry's changing. We can say shit like that. The industry's changing. This is the future. We can say stuff like that.
Oh my goodness. I'm unable to ken.
And just in general, I think I'll just remind Masali. What were some important lessons that you learned from working with world-renowned actors such as Viola Davis and Lashana?
Wow. I learned the power, or the skill rather, of protecting yourself and protecting your character and really fighting for your character. When I first got the role, I had a Zoom meeting with Gina, and she was asked me to create a backstory for Fumbe, and I was like, okay, standard, told her everything that happened up until that point. And then when I got on set on the first day of filming, I had a scar, and the makeup artist was asking Gina, like, why here? And she was like, oh no, that's what Masali wrote in her backstory. So that was the first time for me I felt like, oh, she's mine? Fumbe's mine? Oh, this is great. So yeah, learning from Gina and Viola and Lashana is just really taking ownership of your character, and when you walk on set, you're there to work. You're not there to have fun. Like, you're there for a job. So yeah, that's what I learned.
And John, as the person who bestowed
Nanisca.
Nanisca as the woman king.
The accent. You didn't have the
Oh, wow.
accent. You gave me the accent.
I know. After this, South Africans, don't worry, you're coming. It's good. It's good.
What do you think that moment? How do you think that moment will impact people that watch it and how they connect to the story?
Well, he gives her the crown that she took off. Once she understands and learns that this trauma is healed, she deserves accolades for what she's been before that. So he just reconfirms, who she is. And if you watch it, it's the undertone of that scene is actually quite dark. There's something actually going on in that scene that's actually opposite to that moment. But in that, though, she's given this sense of royalty and given a title that actually reflects her actions. So it's not the title, developing her character or making her character better. It's actually just reconfirming who she already is. And that, for me, is just something really powerful, along with the music and the ambience that makes that scene just incredible.
And then Siv will add something to that.
Yeah.
You always talk about it, how it should have been longer.
Oh yeah, that should have been longer. The celebration
There's
should
a
have been.
final scene when I just want to say to the editors, just 15, 20 seconds more. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And you can it's electric. You get the goosebumps to the back of your neck. And I just wanted it to be 15, 20 seconds longer. And they were everything was so authentic in the film that they actually were just like, enough. I was like, oh.
No, it was epic. It was epic on
so
set.
Epic.
I remember stopping on set when we had a random wind,
Yeah.
and I see everybody's costumes just flowing in the wind when everyone's just waiting to film, and I look around and be like, "No, this is epic." It's just the way it just looks. So
earlier you said something. For me, one of the most amazing part for me with working with such incredible international actresses, people would think it's just about watching Viola work. Mm-hmm. My highlight was watching Viola make mistakes.
Yeah.
She would make mistakes more than I would ever imagined of her to make. but it's about how she would make the mistakes that just made me a better actor. Like, she would just be like, she would make a mistake and she'd be like, "You're in control, Viola, you're in control."
So beautiful.
And I would just be like, "What? Multi-award-winning Viola Davis." And then there was one time we did like it was one of the first things we did with John. We worked like 10 hours of the same scene, and at one moment we were doing it for 10 hours. It was his close-up. She made a mistake, and she was just like, "John, I'm so sorry." And she was saying, I think she's like, "I've been doing it for 10 hours. I should know this." But the apologeticness of her, but the living in the "I'm not perfect," it's just indescribable.
Kind of makes it perfect.
So I remember going to the trailer, picking up my phone and calling every actor friend going, "She makes more mistakes than I ever imagined to." But the mistakes that she made have made me a better actor. Because she made them in like, it reminded me of rugby. They always say in rugby, run in harder. The harder you go in, the less chance you have of getting hurt. But if you go in hesitantly, that's when you get hurt. And she goes full in with the potential of making a mistake. And when she does make a mistake, she's so vulnerable in it that for me, all of the Oscars, all of the awards are irrelevant. It's about how she makes mistakes. And that makes me a better actor.
And last question, just in the event of time, Thuso. What conversations do you hope that this film sparks globally?
I think more than anything, I hope it gives more people like us more opportunities. Because we come into this industry thinking we can be anything. And then the industry tells us, no, you can't. You are relegated to being this small part, this small inconvenient part of existence. And this movie shows the opposites.
Yes.
Abo Masali are extremely talented. They just need the opportunity to showcase their gifts. And so I hope that that's an active conversation that goes on forward. And then for people in everyday life, John has a beautiful duality thing that he talks about. Go for it.
What duality thing?
I love her.
I'm like, whoa, it's like a stray bullet. I'm like,
You guys are
yeah, but to that point, what you said is fantastic.
No, go for it. The men and the women.
Oh yeah, well everyone. No, the conversation. Yeah, duality. Yeah, duality. Men, women come together. It's okay. We can all help each other. It's fine. It's kind of stupid that we have to actually tell each other this, but I think that the film represents that well.
These are my friends.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
All the best for the premiere tonight.
No, thank
so
you.
much fun.
Thank you.
Great interview.
Thank
Great
you.
research, man. Great research. Great questions. Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it.
That's extra space.
Now I know you guys are. Yes.
Now you're gonna what? Respond to the idea? Instead of continuing this cycle?
Whoa, where you from? To be a warrior, you must kill your tears.